Hello, Facebook. Hello, hello. Gonna go ahead and get my IG started. Hello, IG. Hello, hello. All right, y'all. We are about to get started. I'm gonna give it a few more seconds. I'm excited. I got a lot of good information that I want to share today. So I'm going to give it a few seconds. If you are streaming from Facebook, please make sure that you grant StreamYard permission so that I can actually see your comments because I won't be able to see your comments if if you don't do that. And I want to make sure I know who's checking in. And feel free, put it in the chat. Let me know where you are calling in from. I want to know where you're calling in from. Those of you on Instagram, let me know where you're calling in from. I normally start this on Thursdays at 8:30 p.m., but I decided to start a little earlier today because we got a lot going on at the Woods house today. My husband, he's doing a lot of things just outside. He's helping with just some maintenance things. And so we're trying to make sure we tag team this thing, making sure that I am available, I'm present, especially this evening before the kids go to bed. So we got a lot of moving parts right now. So I want to make sure that I got on here and shared this information that I'm excited to share with you guys. But yeah, let me know. Let me know, where are you calling in from? Where are you joining me from? I want to know all about it. Yes. Who is this? It's been a minute. I don't know who you are. Make sure you grant StreamYard permission, but I feel like that may be Tosh. But Tosh, we're gonna wait. We're gonna wait. I have a feeling it might be you, but shoot me a quick DM. And if you guys see me kind of looking over, it's because I'm like right at the front of the house, and sometimes the kids, they get a little active and they're outside. I think they're playing basketball now. So I did not realize that was gonna happen at this time. Yes, Tosh, I knew it. Hey girl. I hope all is well. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much for joining. Glad for you to be here. And yes, it has been a minute. It has been a minute for sure. IG, welcome, welcome. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and jump into this. So, I posted a reel maybe it was maybe like an hour ago. And I wanted, just because I wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that I was going to be going live today and I was going to be sharing some information. And it's basically the power of pivots. So I'm going to be talking about today the power of pivots. This is coming from my book, Boss Moms Move Differently. And I got it right here. For those of you who are not familiar, if you're not aware of my book, Boss Moms Move Differently, this is a book to help moms redefine motherhood, reprioritize their well-being, and reinvent their life. So if you have not checked it out yet, I would encourage you to check it out on Amazon, y'all. Check it out on Amazon. And I got one adjustment real quick I need to make because this lighting is driving me crazy. Sorry about that. I did a few things with the light. Let me see if that's helping. Okay. Welcome, welcome. Those of you who are joining, let me know where you are joining me from. Thank you so much for being here today. As I mentioned earlier, I am speaking from my book, Boss Moms Move Differently. So again, this is a guide to help moms redefine motherhood, reprioritize their well-being, and reinvent their lives. So you can find this book. You can find a copy, purchase a copy on Amazon. Simply typing in the title, Boss Moms Move Differently. You can find it on Amazon. And you can also go to bmmdbook.com. So I know a lot of people have been hitting me up, DMs. I'm excited. A lot of people have been tagging me. So once you get your book, make sure you tag me. I want to know that you've received your book. And I feel very confident that this is going to transform lives. It's going to help a lot of women, a lot of people. So again, I want to reach as many people as possible. So I ask that you guys also help me reach as many people as possible, because again, we're trying to just change. Again, we're changing lives, we're changing generations. So that's what this is about. So all that to say, from the book, I'm going to be talking about the power of pivots. And basically, and I'll start with this quote in the book. It says, if you don't like something, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude. And that's from Maya Angelou. Now, I love this quote because although it may sound that simple, right? Sometimes we are often faced with like challenges in our life. We're often faced with times where maybe it's time to make a shift in our lives. It's not always that easy, right? Sometimes it's not always that easy. It's not always that clear cut. Oftentimes when life be lifing, let's face it, oftentimes when life is lifing, it's layered. So it's a lot of things that we really have to factor in, especially the older we get, the more responsibilities we get, the more that we are leading certain things, it can be very layered. So it's not, for a lot of us, it's not so easy just to say, oh, well, if I don't like something, I'm just going to change it up, right? It's not that easy. However, what I've learned just throughout my own personal growth journey is that it may not be easy, but it's definitely possible. Okay. And so I want to talk about this um, because a lot of us are in a place of stuckness, and we can be in places of just feeling stuck, feeling as if maybe we don't have all the answers, or maybe we are looking for some type of clarity, and we just fail to move forward. And so we're just kind of in this place of stuckness, not really sure how to move forward. And so I want to talk about that because when I look at this, um, I think of stuckness as being people kind of in different categories. So you got your category of people who, let's say, maybe they are stuck and maybe they're just comfortable with being stuck. So you got that category of people, right? You got a category of people where they're like, you know what, I'm good. I'm stuck. I don't really know what's going on, but you know what? It is what it is, right? And so those are oftentimes the types of people who are more passive with it. So they're more passive with being stuck. And honestly, a lot of times you find that there's a category of people who don't even realize that they're stuck. They've been in a place of just, not really having the answers. And they're really not trying to look for the answers, but they've been doing it. They've been in this place for so many years, for so long. So for example, being in a place of, maybe financial stuckness, right? Maybe you have had certain financial goals for a very long time and you continue to be in that place. And then over time, you just start to kind of get used to that situation, right? And so you don't do anything about it, right? So you got your category of people like that who, maybe they don't at this point, they don't even realize, because they become so familiar with that particular challenge that they're just in it, right? And they're like, it is what it is. But then you also have this category of individuals who are stuck and they're ready to make a change. Like they're stuck. They know that something needs to change. They know that they know that if they continue on this particular path, it may really come down to some serious consequences, right? Like you may lose a lot of things if you continue to stay in that place. You may lose a lot of relationships, money, your health may suffer, right? They know that there are consequences associated or attached to being stuck, being in that place of stuckness, but they just don't know how to get out of it. And for those of you who are watching, I want you to share with me, just kind of share with me if you have been familiar, if you've been anyone, let's say maybe you've been in a place of just being stuck and you want to move forward, right? Like you really want to move forward in a particular area and you're just not exactly sure how. Or maybe you've been in that place before. Maybe you're not necessarily stuck right now, but maybe you're in that place, or maybe you were in that place in the past. I want you to put it in the chat. Let me know. Let me know if you are familiar with that. Because here's the thing. The reality is, being stuck and being in that place where you're just facing challenges, or maybe where there's time for a shift, maybe you just need to pivot, maybe you need to shift, maybe you need to make a shift. None of us are immune to that, right? Like none of us are immune to challenges and different problems and life, life and right. None of us are immune, to that. All of us get to a place in life where we all get to a place in life where we can be stuck, right? And so you got your ones who are willing to do something about being stuck, and then you got your other category of folks who are just like, I'm good, I don't want to do that. So for the purposes of tonight, I'm talking to those of you who are genuinely, you really know you're in a place of being stuck, right? But you want to move forward. You're trying to figure out, how do I move forward? How do I get out of this place? I'm trying to figure it out, right? I'm trying to figure out, how can I just at least get myself to where I'm moving in the right direction? I want to talk to you. All right. Those are the people that I want to talk to. So let's kind of talk through what stuckness looks like. Let's break this down a little bit more in detail. Hey sis, I don't know who that is, but and I'm saying that because I'm streaming through StreamYard. So if you don't mind, please make sure you grant them permission so that I can see your comments. And I definitely want to know who it is. But thank you so much for joining. Um, but let's talk about what can stuckness look like. So sometimes stuckness can look like some level of avoidance or some level of procrastination, indecisiveness, like just the failure to make a decision, right? You're just kind of spinning your wheels. For a lot of us, it's spinning our wheels, overthinking, analysis paralysis. I don't know about any of y'all, but that's definitely been my story a few times, a time or two. Okay. And my husband, if I put him on here, he could definitely attest to that. But I know I've been in places where I have just over analyzed, let's say when I was in a different place, in terms of career, right? I remember being in a career where I just was not happy, and it was ultimately bleeding over to every other aspect of my life. I was just not happy with the particular role that I was in. And it showed in every other aspect of my life. And so I knew I was that person who I knew I was stuck and I didn't know really what to do. I didn't know how to move forward, but I knew I had to do something different. Right. And I was committed to doing something different. And again, those are the people that I want to talk to who know, hey, I know I got to make a shift, but I'm not exactly sure how to make that shift. So I want you guys share it with me. If you are joining me today, I want you to share with me. Has there ever been a time where maybe you faced being stuck in some capacity? Maybe you were stuck in a relationship. I don't know about y'all, but I know early in my 20s, like early and before that, I was not making the best decisions, right? And some of us even now, and that's okay. Some of us, and I'm gonna even say even down to marriage, right? Some of us can be stuck in marriage, and I'm not saying from a standpoint of, well, stuck meaning like you're about to leave your marriage, because I'm not going to speak to that. Okay, that's none of my business. What I mean in terms of being stuck in marriage, meaning like maybe you're facing a challenge, maybe there's some type of communication barrier that you have, maybe with your spouse or maybe with your significant other, and that may be a place of stuckness. You're trying to figure out, like, how can I communicate better? Like, it's just not, for whatever reason, I'm just not getting over to my spouse. Maybe we keep bumping heads every time we communicate. It's always something, right? Like, that may be a place of being stuck. Some people may be stuck in, uh, again, career. I kind of go back to that because that is, I'm speaking from a direct place. For me, and I will say this: I've worked as an HR leader. I've had the opportunity to be able to work with hundreds of people, hundreds of people all across the world. I've worked with people in Europe, Asia, India, all over the world. I've been able to work with uh, people just in different backgrounds, different walks of life. And one thing that stood out more than anything, especially during my time in HR leadership, was that specifically for women, a lot of us felt as if, and this was like across the board, but it was, we all kind of had our own pain points, right? But there were several of us who, felt like we were stuck in a role because maybe we had other obligations. We felt that, for example, like, you may have had kids, right? Maybe you had children and you felt as if you were just kind of stuck in that position and you didn't really want to make any quick changes because you knew that you had other obligations, especially when we start adulting, right? We have bills, we have certain things that we are inclined, like as adults, we just got to do these responsibilities, right? And so I can recall having countless conversations with women in the workforce, leaders in the workforce who were experiencing major burnout, right? Like they were just trying to figure out how to balance being a boss versus being a mom in the workplace. They were trying to figure out how to balance all those responsibilities, how to wear all these hats, right, in the workplace. And they felt stuck. They didn't feel, I knew some women who didn't feel a sense of fulfillment. They were working in a role and just did not have the fulfillment that they may have signed up for at that particular time. So I want you to share with me. Again, if you're a part of this, I would love to hear your feedback because I want this to be a conversation. I really do want this to be a conversation. I want you to share with me if you've had any times where, again, you've been stuck. Give me some examples of what that looked like. Okay. And again, I share my own personal story. For those of you who are just joining, I did share my personal story about being stuck in a career that I was just not happy with. I felt that I was not getting the personal fulfillment, but part of my stuckness really came from, number one, me getting that degree, right? Like I put all that money towards a degree, and number two, a lot of it was family. For me, a lot of it was family, not really wanting to disappoint people around me, and probably being, at the time, really looking at how people would perceive me, what would they think of me, right? Putting all this money towards a career, or towards the education, and then leaving that particular career. So I want you guys to share with me, what are some of those areas for you? What does stuckness, what made it look like for you? What has it looked like for you? I want to hear about it. And um, the reason why this is so important, the reason why I really want to hit on this conversation, and sorry, I'm looking around because I'm hearing people coming in and out of my house. My kids are outside playing. So apologies for that. But the reason why I'm passionate about this topic, especially the power of pivots, and why I think it is, I honestly believe that this is a skill that any leader, like especially when you are leading, I think it's a necessary skill for you to have, because we all need to know when it's time to actually make a pivot, when it's actually time to make a shift or a change in your life, and being willing to do that. Why is that the case? Because sometimes when we get stuck, especially for an extended period of time, like when it's something that's going on for years, and I can attest to this because I've experienced this personally. It starts hitting us physically, mentally, emotionally, right? Like I know for me, I would have all these kind of headaches, unexplainable headaches. I couldn't explain it. Insomnia, anxiety, all these things that I had going on, and just irritability, right? Like just not happy with the situation because of the fact that I felt stuck, and I for the longest time I didn't know how to communicate that. Like I really struggled with communicating that to other people. Part of that was I just really wasn't vulnerable and open enough to actually share that with other people. I didn't really want to share. I felt embarrassed to share that I felt stuck, or not really happy with what was going on, because I was too busy trying to put on face. Okay, I was too busy trying to make sure I had it looking together. I don't know about y'all. I'm speaking from personal experience. I was too busy trying to make it appear as if I had it all together, okay, from the outside, but in the inside I was all the way jacked up. I was torn up, okay, because I was stuck, and I was unhappy, and I was dissatisfied with my life, right? And so that started hitting me mentally, it started hitting me physically, all these things that I started having going on as a result of an extended period of being stuck. And the reason why I really emphasize this point about an extended period is because by no means am I condoning, or by no means am I suggesting that if you are in a place where you're stuck, or maybe you're going through a challenge, that you should just immediately, just let it go or just make a change, right? I'm not suggesting that. I'm speaking to a place of where you're finding yourself, in a position where it's a lot of frustration, right? It's a lot of dissatisfaction for an extended period of time, where it begins to affect you in other ways, right? In other dynamics, where it starts to affect how you're showing up every day. It's ultimately affecting how you're interacting with other people in your life. This is what I'm talking about when I mean being stuck. These are the shifts that I'm talking about. Okay. So again, paying attention to those areas, maybe where you may be stuck. Number one, paying attention to that, really pinpointing what those areas are, but then also identifying, what is it feeling like for me? Like how is this stuckness? How is it affecting me right now? Right. And if you're finding, and I've had a lot of conversations again, if you're finding that, you are just completely stressed out, what does stress do? Stress is a silent killer. Stress is a silent killer. Okay. And so a lot of us, we're going around putting on face, right? We're showing up in this way, feeling as if we have to mask all of this hurt, all of this frustration, all of this indecisiveness that we have going on, right? But it's hurting us. And if we continue on that way, in a long term, it's going to affect us even worse, right? Like it can cause a lot of long term illnesses. And a lot of us, we're like, I don't know where this is coming from. I'm not stressed. I don't feel stressed. Well, no, you probably are stressed. You probably are. You're probably holding on. It's something that's going on, that you're holding on to, right? Or something that you're not addressing in your life. And so that's the reason why I'm bringing that up. That's the reason why I'm so passionate about, again, this topic. So we've talked about what stuckness looks like. We've talked about some effects that it can have on people. We've even shared some scenarios. So I've even talked through a few scenarios. Let me kind of talk about that a little bit more. I have some notes here, so I just want to make sure that I cover that. So in what ways individuals or you can actually experience being stuck. So let me give, again, some real life practical examples. Let's say you're really wanting something. Let's say like a new job, relationship, or maybe you want improved health. And then all of a sudden you just lose that motivation to get to it. How many of us we have all these plans at the beginning of the year. We have all these great intentions to start something new, but then all of a sudden we lose the motivation, right? We lose the motivation to do that. Oftentimes that can be, again, another example of just being stuck. Another example would be identifying something that looks exciting and then you end up talking yourself out of it. You have a business in mind, for example. Some of you, because I've talked to some of y'all, I know this. Some of you, you have businesses, you have books, you have visions, you have all these great things inside of you that you want to do, right? And you get to a point where you start talking about it, but then all of a sudden you just kind of you kind of slide away. You avoid it. You avoid talking about it. And then I hit you up, and I'm like, hey girl, what's going on with that business? How are things going? How are things looking? I don't hear anything. That may be a place of stuckness. Now, for some of you, it honestly may just mean that maybe you're no longer interested, right? But I can speak to from personal experience. I've been in that place where as a matter of fact, even with my book, right? Starting with my book, I pushed this off for a very long time and was not expecting to even start this journey. And every time I talked about it, it would scare me. And so I wouldn't talk about it anymore. And I didn't want to talk about it. I just would not bring it up to anybody. I would try to avoid having that conversation. So these are some things, again, I want you to think about, again, in terms of where you may be stuck in your life currently. Okay. So let's talk about ways that we can get unstuck. Okay. Let's talk about how you can get unstuck. All right. I'm going to share 4 ways that you can work to basically so that you can actually start moving in the direction towards your desired lifestyle. Okay. As a matter of fact, I do want to go back. Let me make sure. Sorry, I want to make sure that I cover this, guys. Oh, yes. Okay. Sorry about that. I do want to kind of go back because I do want to hit on some points. This is actually really big. I kind of hit on it, but I really do want to hit on this, okay? Like in more detail. Hopefully y'all still with me. Okay. So some reasons. I want to talk about some reasons why you may be stuck. All right. First reason. The first reason why you may be stuck may be because the right decision may actually be taking you out of your comfort zone. So you actually deciding to take action on the right thing, you may be fearful. You may be afraid because of the fact that it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. And that may be the reason why you're stuck. I'm going to say that again. One of the reasons why you may be stuck right now, one of the reasons why you may be experiencing just this level of indecisiveness or this level of avoidance or procrastination? It may be because you know that choosing to move forward and take the right steps, you know that it's going to get you out of your comfort zone and you're not ready for it. You don't want to address it. Okay. So, for example, some of you, you may really want to pursue a particular role, like a particular business endeavor. You may want to pursue an advanced career. Maybe you looking at that VP role. You have been eyeing this VP role for this organization, right? And you are afraid to move forward. You know that the role that you're in right now, maybe you're a director, right? You're working as a director and you have a team of individuals. You love this team, but at this point you've kind of mastered it. You've kind of mastered where you are and you're somewhat bored. And so now this boredom is causing some frustration because of the fact that you are bored, you are working in this role, you're not getting any fulfillment, but so you kind of stagnant. You feel stagnant, right? You know you want to make more money. You know you want to make a larger impact in that organization, but you know that the thought of you or the thought of you moving into that VP role, right? That particular level of responsibility scares the crap out of you. And you know it does. Okay. And I can speak to this. I remember again being in a role where I ended up moving into an HR leadership role. This was actually my first HR leadership role, and because prior to that I was pretty much working on HR teams, I was responsible for supporting and consulting and things of that nature. But in this particular role, I remember or I remember being offered a role to basically support like pretty much this entire organization at the time. I was basically supporting them. I had direct reports, all of that, right? And it scared me so much. And I remember accepting the offer, but and wondering, questioning to myself, like, is this something I really need to pursue? Like, I don't know if this is what I really want. But I knew the role prior to that, I knew the role that I was in before I even accepted. I knew it wasn't serving me. I knew it wasn't fulfilling. I knew I wasn't happy with that particular role. And I knew it was time for me to stretch myself a little bit more. But the thought of me moving into a role that was going to expand me regionally, right, with over 5,000 employees at the time, I remember it scared me. It scared me so much. Again, working across multiple countries, it scared me. Okay. And I wanted to back out so bad. I remember wanting to back out and, tell them, hey, maybe this is not the right opportunity, right? But the reason why I share that is because some of you may be in a similar position. Some of you maybe you're in your role, you're completely bored and you want to pursue more. You know, you want more, you know, you deserve more, but you know that moving into that next level is going to bring some level of discomfort, right? That may be the reason why you're stuck right now. And we're going to talk about how to get out of the stuckness, but I just want to kind of call out these different reasons why, because again, um, in order for you to move forward, you kind of have to know what's happening, right? So I want you to kind of get clear as I'm talking, as I'm having this conversation, and I would love to hear your comments. Let me know if any of this is resonating with you, right? But if it resonates with you, I want you to let me know, because this is what's going to help you when it's time, when we get to this place of actually getting ourselves unstuck and moving out of this place of indecisiveness and indecision. It's going to help you. Okay. So the second reason may be because you've outgrown a current situation. Now, this may go back to a particular role. It may go back to certain relationships, right? Maybe it goes back to friendships. Um, and I'll give this example. I just remember when I was in my 20s, for example, I remember I worked in a waitressing job. I absolutely loved this waitressing job. Loved the waitressing job, y'all, because I was making my money. Okay. Like, I love going in on the weekends, working on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, making my money. And that was it for the week. Right now, that was the life, of course, for college, college years. And that's what I was doing when I was in my college years. And so I remember kind of fast forward moving into my 30s. And I remember having a conversation with my husband, and I was like, I want to, go back into being a waitress. Like, I remember kind of just saying it to him like randomly one day. He kind of looked at me like, girl, what are you talking about? Like, why would you want to be a waitress? And so the more I'm sitting there thinking about, I'm like clearly that would not work for me, right? Because the Robin that I was in my 20s is clearly not the Robin that I am now. Like my adulting life looks very different. And at that time, I may have had, like, Aubrey was born at that point. So my daughter, I may have had only one one child at the time, but still, like, my responsibilities look very different. And so maybe it worked for me when I was in my 20s, but then again, as I got older, as I started having more responsibilities, and as my responsibilities and my interests kind of shifted a little bit more, me being a waitress was just not going to work, right? And so some of you, maybe you started out in a particular career, for example. Maybe you started out in a career and you thought this was the career for you when you were in your early 20s, right? You went to school for it. Maybe you didn't go to school for it. Maybe you had some other type of continuing education for it, or even business. Maybe that business worked for you at some point, but now the business is no longer working for you. You've outgrown it, right? Due to a current situation. I know for me, with my photography business, for example, like the photography business was great, right? But when I realized that I had to attend weddings like every weekend, right? I knew that was not gonna work having kids. And so I had outgrown that. I love my photography business. I love the memories that I was creating. I love the connections, right? I love traveling. I loved all of that. But I knew that I had outgrown that situation. It was not really going to fit with my lifestyle at the time. So it didn't really fit with my lifestyle. It didn't fit with my values. So I knew ultimately I ended up having to leave. But again, some of you may be in that place of being stuck because maybe you've outgrown the situation and you're still staying in it, right? Maybe you stayed in it a little too long. All right. The last reason, maybe your values are not in alignment with your goals. And so that kind of goes back to what I just talked about with the photography business, right? So if you know that your values, for example, is if you have a family, you're raising a family, and you know that you value your weekends, you value having your evenings with your family, right? Like, you know that that's something that you value. Why would I go out and build this huge business around something that requires me to be there on the weekends? It's not aligning with my values, right? I value my time, I value flexibility, and I value the money that I'm making, right? And so for me, that's important. That it is important that I have that available to me. And so if I'm working in a business or a career that is not in alignment with those values, it's not going to work for me. And see, I've had to learn that it's taken me a while to really get to that place, but that's what I mean when I say, your values are just not in alignment. And so for whatever reason, you're just stuck, you're there, but you just continue to stay there in that particular place. So now let's talk about how to get unstuck. Let's talk about how to get unstuck. All right, I got two things. Actually, it's four ways to get unstuck, but I kind of break it down in kind of two categories. The first one is acceptance. The second one is act. So acceptance and act. All right. So accepting. What do I mean by accepting? This kind of goes back to my original point when I talked about some of us. Number one, we don't want to admit that we are stuck. Maybe we have a lot of pride. We are embarrassed to let people know that we are stuck or that we're in this very uncomfortable, weird position, right, of life, and we don't really know how to move forward. I think the best thing we can do is to actually accept it, come to acceptance with the fact that that's happening. Because here's the thing, we've got to be committed to making a change. We have got to be committed. The only way you can commit to making that change is accepting that a change is necessary. All right. You have to do something different to get different results. That's why boss moms move differently, y'all. That's why boss moms move differently, because we have to be committed to making decisions that are sometimes uncomfortable. We got to be committed to making decisions that are sometimes uncomfortable. And sometimes that's the very thing that we need in order to move forward. But again, it takes accepting. It takes coming to a place of accepting. And I say that again, kind of going back to my job. I remember working again, a stressful job that I did not like. I always share the story. I share it all throughout my book. So if you got my book, if you order my book, you will definitely hear this story. Okay. But again, I remember getting to that place where I was physically sick, had all kind of anxiety going on, all these different things that I was facing just my husband and I, we were bumping heads, right? Because my husband was like, "You got to do something. Like, when are you gonna bust a move with this job?" Like, and he's trying to help me, but I just felt like I had to stay in it, and I don't even know why, right? But I finally got to a place where I was like, "Okay, Robin, I got to do something different. I have got to make moves differently. I've got to get myself out of this." And so when I decided that I was going to make moves differently, I was not going to continue to be in that position. That's when everything shifted for me. That's when everything changed for me. And I didn't necessarily have all the answers. I didn't necessarily have the complete formula. And neither am I suggesting that tonight. I'm not suggesting that, by the time you leave, you're going to have a 100% clear blueprint on what you need to do to get unstuck. But I'm going to share with you how to start moving yourself in the right direction so that you can get unstuck. That's what I want to talk about. All right. The second thing, again, so acceptance is the first thing when we're talking about how do we get unstuck. We got to accept it, and we have to be committed to making the shift. We have to be committed to making a change. Next thing is to act. Identify what you truly want. You got to get crystal clear about the things that you want, the things that you're trying to accomplish, the goals that you're trying to get. But see, here's the thing. A lot of times, and this is what I've learned, because I journal a lot. And so after looking back through a lot of my journals and kind of reviewing some of the goals that I've had set since like 2007, I have been journaling since like 2007, y'all. I didn't even realize how powerful it was for my life and for my well-being. But I've been journaling. And one of the things that I noticed with my goals was that you can create goals all day, but if your goals are not really in alignment with your values, that's, to me, in my opinion, that's oftentimes where the disconnect is. Now, there may be other factors, but what I found the most for myself is that I had to understand what my values were. I had to understand, again, what do I value? I value time and money freedom, right? I value flexibility in anything that I'm doing. That's what I value. And so if what I'm doing, what I'm pursuing does not line up, any goals that I have in mind, if it does not line up with that for the purposes of allowing me to be able to have vacations with my family, being able to, just participate in different things with my family after, during school, after school, and things of that nature, it's not lining up. It's not something, it should not be a goal. And so that's why I go back to being crystal clear about what it is that you want, because again, you got to get crystal clear about what you really want, your values, as well as your goals. What are those goals? What are those goals? Making sure that there's alignment there when you're putting those in place. Okay. So let's say, for example, if you're saying that you want a higher salary, you want to make more money, right? You got to get crystal clear about that. You got to understand you want to make it, but why do you want to make it? What is it about it that entices you, that makes you want to make more money, right? It's not just the fact that you want to make money. It's something there. It's a reason why you want to make more money. So getting crystal clear about your what and the why is the most important thing you could do, right? Um, I remember, and I'm again just kind of looking back at my notes. I just remember working in a role where with my boss, just super, was not flexible when it came to me, wanting to. I was literally 5 minutes away from my child's daycare at the time. And I remember, feeling bad about not being able to leave work. Let's say if it was a school function or a school event where parents were invited to. I remember feeling terrible about that. Like, it ate me up, y'all. It really bothered me not being able to attend those events because of the fact that I was so consumed in my work at the time. Right now, some may say, oh, well, that was a decision, but no, that was actually the culture of where I was working. In order for me to be able to maintain that job, I had to kind of play by their rules. Let's just face it. Right. Because I knew I needed a job. I knew at that time I needed to stay in that job to be able to support my family. And so those are the things that I'm talking about when I say getting crystal clear about those expectations, what it is that you actually desire. The third thing that I want to talk about is taking small action. So once you've, again, committed to the fact that you're going to make a shift, right? You have to change. You're going to move differently. You're going to move differently. You're going to take steps. You're going to shift in a different direction. Once you make that commitment, you've identified your what and your why. Now you're going to start taking small steps, small, simple steps towards those goals. I don't want you guys to overthink this thing, because a lot of times we just overthink. We start thinking about, oh, all these big things I want to do. I want to grow this huge business, this huge successful business. I want to make X amount of money, by the end of the year. I want to be in this corporate VP executive position, right? Like all these different things that we want to obtain. And so sometimes it feels insurmountable. It almost feels as if we can't even accomplish it because we're trying to tackle everything at one time. And I don't know about you, but if you're anything like me, I got a lot, in terms of responsibilities at home. I got a lot of things that I have to handle at home. So I know for me, building an empire is going to take some time, right? And so I'm always thinking about how can I make small actionable steps towards accomplishing what it is that I want. And so for some of you, if you're in a place where you don't really know how to get started, you want to start that business, you want to start, maybe a new career, maybe you want to shift careers because you're just not happy at what you're doing right now. I would say start out by taking small things, maybe committing to 30 minutes a day. Maybe committing to 30 minutes a day to move yourself in the right direction. 30 minutes. 30 minutes of research. Maybe it's 30 minutes of research because you want to pursue a new career and you're like, it's a lot to learn about this career, right? Take 30 minutes and learn about that career. Give yourself a deadline. Maybe by the end of the year, right? You're gonna have XYZ, and then you'll move forward on pursuing that particular career. Whatever it takes. Maybe you'll hire a coach, maybe you'll hire a consultant, whatever it is to help you move the needle. But I would say start out very small. If you have, maybe you're trying to do something like with health, right? Like maybe you're trying to enhance your health. You want to start working out. You don't have time. Start 15 minutes a day. I always tell people this. 15 minutes a day, that changed my life, y'all. It literally changed my life because of the fact that I had younger kids under the age of 2. And I would start out with like 15-minute workouts, and I would do it with them in the room. Like sometimes I have my son on my back, I'm doing push-ups, and I would be, and that's the way I got it in. 15 minutes. I would say, because a lot of times people say, I don't have time, I'm tired, all this stuff going on. Give yourself grace. 10 to 15 minutes, start out with that. And eventually over time, you'll start moving in that direction where you're adding 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour worth of workout, right? But I say 15 minutes, it changed my life, because even now when I get lazy, or if I'm on vacation or things like that, things are going on, I'll still say, let me give myself at least 15 minutes. I can go outside and go for a walk. It's as simple as that. Let's not overthink this thing. Okay. If you're looking for a new job, right? We already know what that means. Looking for a job. You've been working with these people. You love these people. You love the people who you work with, right? But it's something about that role. It's just not making you happy. It's not giving you excitement every day. You deserve more. You deserve to be in a role that ignites you, that lights your fire, that brings out the best in you. We are not designed to be here working in a position, right, where we are unfulfilled, where we are not feeling as if we're really serving the way we need to be serving. So my suggestion is start out small. Find a way, maybe apply for one job a day. I would always hear that when I was, looking for job opportunities. They say, apply for one job a day. The point is to get yourself moving, right? Where you're not still accepting the fact. Well, I'm not even gonna say accepting, because at this point, those of you who are watching, those of you who are listening, you're probably on, I think we're all on the same page that we've accepted the fact that a shift is necessary, right? So we've already accepted that. So in order to do that, you have to move. You have to move yourself in a direction, one way or the other, in order to get yourself out of that place of stuckness, okay? That's how you get yourself one step closer to being in a place of fulfillment, being closer to your desired lifestyle, right? Okay, so that's the third thing I want to talk about. And then lastly, making time for rest. And the reason why I bring this up, because sometimes rest is sometimes like you can do goal setting, you can do all these other things, right? But sometimes maybe you just need to rest your mind. Sometimes you just need to unplug, put your phone on do not disturb. Sometimes you need to unplug from social media, from work, from business. Sometimes being a mom, sometimes being a woman, right? Sometimes we just need to unplug, y'all. I can't emphasize this point enough. I remember right before spring break, I had got to a point where I was feeling burnt out. And I think part of that was because I was shipping out so many book orders at the time. And I felt like my creative juices were just not flowing the way they needed to. They were just not working for me. And I was like, I don't know what's going on. I couldn't figure it out. I was stuck with just trying to build more services for my business. So let me just kind of give you an example. Just with my business in particular, I remember there were some things that I was working on, but I just could not move the needle. And I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling just so stuck. It literally took me having to go for spring break, and I don't suggest y'all waiting until spring break. But I'm just going to share the reason why it reminded me about rest, because I took maybe 2 days where I was not doing anything for work, doing anything for, my business. And I completely unplugged. My phone was off. Like, the only person who could reach out to me was my husband, and that was on my watch. But I remember after 2 days, everything started flowing again. All my creative juices started flowing. I was able to be so much more productive. And the thing is, I was not even intending on doing any work while I was out on vacation. But the fact that things just came to me, it allowed me, I think because of the fact that I allowed myself to rest at the time, that's when I was able to give my brain what it needed to recharge and to reset. And sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes you may be stuck. Sometimes you may be in that place of frustration where you're not able to be as creative and innovative because of the fact that you need to rest. Rest may not necessarily mean sleep. I have a video on where I talk about rest. It's actually on my Instagram, where I talk about the 7 different types of rest. And it's based on the book Sacred Rest. Can't remember the name of the doctor, but Sacred Rest. Check that book out. And I'll talk about the 7 different types of rest, because a lot of times we think about rest, we think that all we need is sleep, right? And then some of us, we've been sleeping and we're like, well, I still feel tired. Well, sometimes it means you need to unplug from technology. Sometimes you need to plug, maybe it's emotional rest. Like, it's so many different types of rest that you can unplug from. So I want you to think about that, especially when you get in a place of being stuck. Sometimes it just may mean taking 48 hours away from everything. And that may be what you need to spark your fire again. Okay. So I wanted to share that. All right. And then the last thing I want to just talk about, now that we have walked through what stuck looks like, what being stuck looks like, we've talked about why you may be stuck, and then we talked about how to get unstuck. Okay, I've covered those 3 things for tonight. If you missed it, if you jumped on late, I would encourage you to definitely go back and catch the replay for this, because I think, again, if you're in a place of, you're ready to make a shift, you need to make a shift. I really feel very strongly that this will be beneficial to you. So I would encourage you to go and check it out. But I would also encourage you, I will be hosting a 1-day intensive. Okay, this is a 5-hour 1-day intensive. Basically, I'm combining like 6 weeks worth of coaching into 1 day. And it's going to be held in June. Okay, so I have a date. If you are interested to hear more about that intensive, basically what we're going to be doing, we're going to be talking about making pivots. If you're in a place where you are ready to make a shift, you want to get out of your head, you want to stop all of this analysis paralysis, all of this overthinking, you're ready to transform your life, I want to help you with that. And I want you to join my 1-day intensive. Again, I want you to send me a DM, okay? And I will share with you the details. This is not something that I am broadcasting. This is for my viewers right now. For those of you who are viewing, I want to offer an invitation for you guys to join and to be a part of this first, okay? And then I have people on my email list that I'm going to send this out to as well. But I am looking for 5 individuals who are interested to transform their lives and get out of their heads, right? You're ready. You've committed. You're committing to making that transformation and moving differently. That's what we want. Okay. So we're going to be doing some goal setting. We're going to be working on a wellness strategy for yourself, right? We're going to be helping you set better boundaries in your life, time management, all these things to position you so that when you're ready to pursue that next stage of your life, when you're ready to pursue that advanced career, when you're ready to pursue that business, you're ready to start that business, you will be prepared. You will be in a space that is going to support you to be successful when you begin that journey. Okay. And I got some other services and things like that that I offer as well. But oftentimes what I find is that there are some people who are just kind of in that in between stage, right? A lot of us know what we need to do. We know how to do it, but we're just not doing it. And so if that's you, I want you to DM me. You know what to do, you know how to do it, but maybe you're just like, I'm just not doing it. I'm stuck. You're the person that I want to talk to. Okay. So I want you to send me a DM and we'll schedule a consultation call. I'll be honest, I'm not working with everybody. This is not something that I'm doing with everybody, but I definitely want us to get on a call so that we can talk through and see if this will be a right fit, if this will be a good fit for you. It's going to be a virtual 1 day intensive again. And I'll give you all the details if you're interested. All you have to do is simply send me a DM. Okay. And again, I hope this was helpful to those of you who are watching. I was not intending for this to go on for 50 minutes, but I wanted to get it out. And those of you who have been engaging, you've been commenting, thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you guys for just engaging. It always helps. Like, it makes things easier when you're engaging and you're actually having that conversation, right? But I will be back next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. I'm going to have a guest on as well. So I'll share that information at the beginning of next week. And I would love for you to join me. I'll be here most Thursdays at 8:30 p.m. And I would love for you to have to be a part of that as well. And also check out my book. For those of you, if you don't have a copy of my book, Boss Moms Move Differently, you can search for that on Amazon. Again, that's Boss Moms Move Differently. If you want a signed copy from me, people ask about this all the time. You can simply go to bmmdbook.com. That's where you'll receive your signed copy. I will go ahead and put it out there now. You can get your book sooner if you go through Amazon. If you get it through me, I will not be able to ship it out until after May 3rd because I'm waiting on another order. I'm waiting on another set of book orders. But again, thank you guys so much for being a part of this discussion. And I cannot wait to hear from you. Again, send me a DM if you want to learn more about my 1 day intensive. I would love to hear from you. Hope you guys have a great night.